Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jody, and on my channel I talk about Broadway, wearing my t-shirt for the Broadway musical title of show, and books. And if you're not new here, thank you so very much for your continued support. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over almost all of the books that I read in 2023. I say almost because I decided to make this video into separate videos. Like today will be part one of some of the books that I read in 2023, and then I'm probably going to make two more videos, part 2 and 3, where I talk about the rest of the books I read in 2023. I decided to do this because I don't know how to edit videos, and yeah, I talk a lot sometimes. I ramble. I'm going to try not to do that today, but yeah, I just don't want to make these videos too long. So yeah, you know, it's not like I read a whole lot of books this year. I did read a decent amount of books for myself. I read what I would read probably in any other year. But you know what? I fell into a bit of a reading slump, and you know, that happens. So I'm not going to be talking about a lot of books in all my videos where I talk about what I read in 2023. Basically, what I read in a year is probably what most booktube read in a month. But you know what? I get sad a lot, and that affects everything for me, so such as my reading. That being said, I did thoroughly enjoy everything I read in 2023, so that's a win in my book. Anyway, so yeah, let's get on to part one of what I read in 2023. So the first book that I read in 2023 was a book called Something in the Water by Steadman. As you can see, it's a part of the Reese's book club, and I just thought I'd point that out because for me personally, anytime I see a book in a book club, my interest gets heightened, and I'm like, what is that about? Why is it in a book club? So I just thought I'd let you know about that. So yeah, oh, I should also say in this video today, I'm not going to be going over too much into detail what these books are about and my thoughts on them, as I've already done a spoiler-free review on every book I read this year on my channel already. I will though do like a Cliff Notes version on what the book is about and my thoughts, and of course my star rating when I say what my thoughts and what the book is about. You know, see, started ramble, don't know how to edit videos, and now we have like 30 more seconds than we need to. Okay, so Something in the Water is about a couple named Aaron and Mark. Let me just check. It's definitely, yeah, Aaron and Mark. I read this a while ago. So, yeah, so this is about a couple named Aaron and Mark. They are newlyweds. They have just recently gotten married, and they are now on their honeymoon. And the one thing they wanted to do on their honeymoon is go scuba diving. So the two of them get a boat, and they go out into the middle of the ocean. They're all alone, and they go scuba diving. On their way back to their resort, they notice something strange, something in the water. Dun, dun, dun. You know, I did that for dramatic effects because it's pretty dramatic when they find this, what they find in the water. And so basically what they find in the water will change the course of both of their lives forever. So now as far as how I like this book. I really, really like this book. It's a very well done, high intense psychological thriller. It was extremely well written. The attention to detail and just the pacing of the story for a thriller was maybe the best that I've ever read in a mystery thriller up to this point. You know, I just kept having to turn that page to see where the story was going to go, and it was just so well written, like I said. And Steadman, I look forward to reading more of her books in the future, because I think at this point I have all of them. But there were only two things that made this from being like what I would call a perfect 5-star read for me, and that was that I felt like it took a little bit too long to get to what was in the water. And then lastly, I did think that the reveal at the end was a bit on the predictable side. So, you know, that being said, like I said, it was a very enjoyable read, and if you like high intense psychological thrillers, I definitely suggest to pick this up because I think you'll probably like it. So my star rating for Something in the Water is 4.75 stars. So moving on now to the next book that I read in 2023, and that would be The Lost Ticket by Freya Sampson, also known as one of my favorite new authors that I've read from this year. So The Lost Ticket is about a woman named Libby. Libby was at a place in her life where she thought she had everything like set out for her. Like, she could picture her future. And it was a future with her long-term boyfriend, Simon. And so, one day, as it happens sometimes, um, Libby gets blindsided by Simon. And he breaks up with her. And she's like, what am I going to do now? So she takes a bus ride to her sister's. And it's on this bus ride that she encounters an older gentleman named Frank. And Frank and Libby end up striking up a conversation after Frank mistakes Libby for someone he once met on the bus. They start to talk, and it's during the course of their conversation that Frank tells Libby that he once met a woman on the bus over 60 years ago who, he was supposed to meet up with back then. Things got in the way, and he never ended up meeting up with her, and how he's been riding this particular bus route ever since in hopes of one day meeting her again. Even though Libby is devastated from her recent breakup with her long-term boyfriend, she wants Frank to get his love story. So she vows to help Frank in any way she can to help him find this woman that he met on the bus all those years ago. And so now for my thoughts on this book. I didn't just like this book. I absolutely, with all my heart, loved this book. It was definitely one of the best books I read in 2023. And, on a personal note, the last 2 years for me have been extremely difficult to get through. Even like at this moment in this new year, as I filmed this video on the first day of January, I feel very hopeless now. It's just like, I don't know. And I feel like, that's how I feel. And, when reading this book, though, I felt hope during my time reading this book. And this book is literally hope in a book. It was one of the most kindest, most sweet, most charming, most heartwarming stories I have literally ever read. And, it was just so sweet. And, like, honestly, I have never been one to reread a book I've already read. But I understand that concept now, understand that concept of wanting to jump back into that world, that story, to see those characters again. And yeah, I think one day I'll probably definitely pick up this book to reread again, maybe when I'm feeling extra sad, just to give myself a little bit of hope. Because there is kindness and there is niceness out in the world, and sometimes we forget that when we're stuck in our own head. So yeah, I highly recommend this book. It's just an amazing story, and I absolutely loved it. And my rating for this, my star rating for this book is 5 stars, obviously. And for the last book I'll be talking about today, because like I said, I don't want to make these videos too long. The third book I read in 2023 was, trying to fix the dust jacket there, was a book called The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. So The Last Thing He Told Me is about a woman named Hannah who has recently moved to Sausalito, California to live with the love of her life, Owen. In the process of becoming Owen's new wife, she has also become stepmom to Owen's daughter, Bailey, a teenager who isn't quite thrilled with her dad's new wife. So that being said, Hannah lives a pretty simple, quiet life in California, and every day is basically more or less the same. And Hannah likes it that way. She's not like one for the thrill. She just wants to live a great life and be happy. And that all kind of goes upside down and changes one day when Owen sends her quite a cryptic note that says, protect her. Hannah's like, what? So she calls Owen and says, wants to know what's going on. Unfortunately, she cannot reach Owen. And the rest of the story is basically about Hannah and Bailey finding themselves having to work together to try to find Owen and find out what's going on. And okay, so for my thoughts. I really like this book. It was one of those like hyped up books that I've been hearing people talk about on BookTube, and I knew it was going to be adapted into an Apple TV series starring Jennifer Garner, so that anytime I hear about a book being adapted, that heightens my interest as well. And oh, this is part of Reese's book club as well. I'm sure you saw that, but had to point it out because I love these little stamps on the book. So yeah, I really like this book. It was my first Laura Dave novel that I ever read, and she is just such an amazing storyteller. Like the way she writes is just, I really enjoy it, and the way she writes her characters, they're very well developed and just really well done. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I don't know if it's not a story, but a book for everyone. And I say that not because it's not good, because I really like this book, but the pacing of the story goes very slow. I would call this a very slow burn mystery. So because of that, I don't know if it's a book for everyone, because the pacing can be a little bit of an issue. I would say I was about halfway through the book where questions were still not really answered. It was only maybe 3/4 through the story where questions started to be answered. So if that's not something that you're willing to wait around for, or something you enjoy, then that's probably not for you. But I personally didn't mind it, and I attribute that to Laura Dave's writing. Like I said, just an amazing storyteller. And even though it wasn't a very fast-paced mystery, I still found myself on the edge of my seat wanting to know where the story was going to go. And like I said, just an amazing writer, and I really look forward to reading more of her work in the future. Yeah, so that's gonna, oh, almost forgot. My star rating for this book was 5 stars. So, in today's video, if you made it to this point, you already know this, but I talked about 3 of the books that I read in 2023, Something in the Water, The Lost Ticket, and The Last Thing He Told Me. So, be sure to stay tuned for my next video where I talk about probably the next, I'm not sure if I want to split this into 2 parts or 3 parts, because, I don't like to make the videos too long. I ended up reading 7 books total this year, so it isn't a lot. But, that way I have more time to talk about each one, personally. So I'll probably make, I'm thinking either 2 more videos. So the next video will probably be more of the books that I read. But yeah. So as with this new year, I just want to say thank you so much to those of you who checked out my channel last year and subscribed. And it really means a lot to me. And yeah. So I just wanted to say that and wish you all a happy new year as well. And yeah, be sure to stay tuned for my next video, where I talk about some more of the books that I read in 2023. Let me know in the comments if you read any of the books that I talked about today, or what are some of your favorite books from 2023 that you read, or what are some of the books that you hope to read in this new year. So that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, bye.